Copyright in here. Oh my gosh. Well,
You can
happy
sing.
Saturday. Huh?
You
You
can
can
always
sing?
sing those songs, you just can't be singing the entire song. Yeah, yeah, you can do a little sample action.
Okay, well, I'll give him a little sample. All right, so guys, let's get it started.
Ha!
All right. Happy Saturday. Yay. I am so excited to be here. My goodness, has this been a fantastic week. For me, I've met so many individuals in person from my LinkedIn land. And gosh, man, I'm just telling you, so many wonderful things are happening. I'm so excited. Hispanic Heritage Month is just around the corner. Yeah, you're like, okay, lady, what does that mean? It means a lot of stuff for us and many projects popping up and just all the vibes and getting together with my Latino folks, man. I love you. Los quiero mucho. Thank you for everything. I want to give a shout out. Well, Randy, hi, OG. Nice
Randy's
to see
cracking me up
you.
because I guess he was like commenting pre-show. So he's like saying hello to everyone, and then all of a sudden he does, "Oh, are these old messages and no one is here yet?"
Well, we see you, Randy Boo. We see you virtually. We cannot wait to see you in a few, well, I guess it's
See
less than
ya.
a few weeks. Yes, in person.
Couple weeks.
A couple of weeks, yeah, that's true. Okay, my math is off this morning. Maybe I need to have more coffee. But yes, yeah, what have you have going on like this week for you? I mean, I know you've been, like I said, head down, just trucking it. So many things.
Yeah, no. Oh my gosh. Let's just say when all ships rise with the tide together, when there is actual genuine collaboration going on, let
Mhm.
me tell you, man, it's a rock and roll ride, but it's so glorious. It's so beautiful to know that like you're pulling people together because your community is that strong that you can actually do business together. So yeah, the big win is we're counting on a project right now that's like pulling in what 6, 7
Oh my
people in our
gosh.
community alone at least, and it's gonna get
Goodness.
bigger. I mean, so yeah, that's a win, you guys, is, we put our money where our mouth is, guys. It's not a cult, but when you find the right tribe, you want to do business together. So, yeah, you guys, I think it's like 7 or 8 people are literally working together on a
Yes.
huge, project, so stay tuned.
It's a huge undertaking, but man, once it goes through, it's going to be life changing. And we're a bunch of change makers, as I say, to impact the world in a positive way. So, I want to give a shout out first to the Soaring Prophets. We love you guys. Oh my God, our Canadian brothers, you guys are so amazing in everything that you're doing in that space. Just hi, Daniel. Lovely to see you here from lovely Switzerland. It's my brother from there. I hope one day to visit. But as I was saying, it's just so much just collaboration that are happening in the background, in the back end about mental wellness, mental health awareness, right? So shout out to you, Chris. We love you from Walking Tall, Todd and Dr. Vanetta. My goodness, you guys are doing such an amazing just effort, the movement for our community. For us. So I get you. I love you. Thank you. Keep rocking, brother, just because it's amazing. Oh my gosh. So it's one of those
I
things.
girl, I think I have a feeling we're on this path again like we always do, so let's go ahead and, let's run the music, right? I mean, because you know us,
Let's
right? Like, be like, "Oh, wait, should we have hit the
def-
intro?"
yeah, I know. Minute 5, right? Yes, yes, but no, we're good. All right, so let's get it started, y'all. Let's run the intro.
Woohoo!
Hey y'all, welcome to my corner. This is your girl Raquel, aka Raki. Step into our world of connections where I'm a proud Hounds of Business Pack leader, which is a community of entrepreneurs committed to sharing positivity, growing together, and never forgetting to inject some fun. Get to know amazing people in this safe space, so come and join me in my connection corner. And dance, and dance, and dance. Hey, hey. Okay, that's enough. Pandit is in the background being like, oh gosh, what did I get myself into? I'm just kidding. I
We
am
know music
kidding.
is part of nature and harmony. There's music everywhere you hear, so I don't think anyone's gonna have an issue. Maybe the issue with my dancing, but outside of that, no, I think we're good.
Oh my gosh, girl, you are pixelated, but I see you. I see
Am
you.
I? I'm telling you, girl, I don't know what is going on here. There's something I don't
Well,
ugh.
Restream always gives us so much entertainment on Saturdays. I find it's been rather frequent this this month. So, hi baby in the background, my my furry babies. But anyhow, y'all, so like I said, I wanted to just kind of highlight what's been going on this week in terms of collaborations. I want to give a shout out to Jesse Martinez from here, from locally, from Houston. And, he's putting together so many fantastic things. I had a meeting with them and other Hispanic leaders yesterday. Shout out Michelle Avalos, just amazing people. Priscilla, Stacy, La Toisson. She has a French last name. I love her. And they're putting together a fantastic Houston, just Hispanic Heritage Month kickoff, and also the second summit for tech people. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So Adrian Leal, shout out to you. He invited me to be co-chair of the Cup of Joey, and I'm so excited. So many things here. I really am.
I
But
love it. Dude, you know what? It is a great problem to have when you're amongst a lot of
yes.
friends. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yes,
whoa.
yes. But talking about friends, talking about our people who make this possible, man. Thank you so much, sponsors, for allowing us to do this day in and day out. And so let's go ahead and start with Tausi. Hello, hello. We love you, Janice. We have you, as always, behind us right here. We always sending you lots of love and everything that you're creating in the world. You're just such a change maker. You're not only just the product, but the heart that is poured out through that, like the story behind it. So thank you so much for sticking by our sides. Thank you so much for doing what you do on a daily basis.
Can I say just one additional thing? So
Yeah.
Janice is one of the key members of the remember I was telling you how there's a bunch of us collaborating? Janice and I have gotten to know each other extraordinarily well this past week, like midnight, literally 1 in the morning, putting stuff together. And you really get to know someone's heart and soul when you're at 1 o'clock in the morning, good, bad, ugly. And I gotta tell you, nothing but love coming from this person. She is pure passion. And if you guys get the privilege to get to know her, please do. I would highly recommend it because Janice Shokrian, I love you to death, girl. And thank you for all your help and insights and wisdom. It's been a pleasure so far. Knock on wood. Infamous last words.
Yes, yes, no, 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 for sure. We need Janice around for a long time, a long
I
time.
do.
All right, our next one is none other than Mr. Mike Asherbrander himself, man, that fearless leader of the Hounds of Business community. I would not be here without you, buddy. And you know that we love you, we adore you, even though sometimes you might get a little too talkative, but we still love you. This is who you are. Your personality just shines through.
Oh
That's
my
your
god. What a backhanded compliment. We love you, man, but you talk a lot. But it's a true statement. We love you, do. We do love you though.
but we wouldn't want you a different way, right? And that same personality is what's really made this community successful. Just because we've amassed so many different individuals to come in from different industries all over the map, all over the world, and it creates that essence, that unique essence of authenticity. So, thank you so much for being here. And if you don't know who Mike Asherbanner is, my goodness, where have you been? If you don't know who the Hounds are, please reach out to one of us. We will be happy to let you know what we're about, who we are, and what we do to give back to the community and help one another rise with the tide, right?
All
And he
shit.
also and he also has a program every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So check him out, check the Hounds out, and if you don't know, well, gotta find out, right?
In fact, yes, the next event actually is September 7th, to get to know him. It's a community town hall. No, Mike, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. It's early morning for me. It's not that early, but I forgot to pull up the graphic. So we're just going to verbalize it. But definitely, it's every other week just to give folks on LinkedIn who
Mhm.
just want to grow, find a community that works with them. This is not a pod, okay? This is actually a community that actually talks to each other and says, okay, how can we actually do business? Sometimes it's not a primary relationship. Sometimes it's you introducing your secondary and tertiary relationship to that
Mhm.
individual. That's what it's all about. It's in genuineness and in authenticity. So we could talk more about it all day. And speaking of authenticity, look, Brilliant Bee Media, full disclosure, it
Woo.
is my company. But that being said, is this we do firmly believe that collaboration is the key. We all have our own
Yes.
shining lights internally. And if we combine our lights together, it creates one brilliant beam, kind of like a Care Bear power stair. So we do all things digital content strategy, marketing in the context of social media content, and we do social media engagement and growth, particularly around LinkedIn because most of our clients are all business. But we'll do an occasional TikTok. We're not that old, right, Rocky?
No, we're not that old. Hey, I'm an older millennial, okay, but it's okay. I'm not so far removed from the like from the modern
Well,
TikToker, so we'll get there.
modern world. But yes, no, absolutely. If there's any questions, quite frankly, we do engage Raki's part of the team as well at Brilliant Bee Media. So, talk to us. We can help you figure out how to make social media fun again.
Hey man, yes, this is what we're about, right? Getting business done while injecting fun, right? It can't be all bland and boring and yeah. So
I'm
this is
kidding.
what we're about. It's just injecting, sprinkling a little spice into everyday business and actually do it in unconventional ways that will make it fun. So I love it. And speaking about just amazing individuals and amazing folks who are behind this effort, safe and sound, y'all, caregiving. Who doesn't have to go through that or who doesn't know someone who has to serve as a caregiver, care partner for one of our loved ones. With the numbers of baby boomers, for example, who are turning 65 and are going into the healthcare industry, into the healthcare system to be taken care of. My goodness, I'm sure someone in your family, or even you have had to wear multiple hats when it comes to taking care of our elderly or individuals with intellectual or physical disabilities, right? Or abilities, as I like to say. So this is a fantastic opportunity for sponsorship. So, Sia, would you like to tell us a little bit more about that while I sip my little coffee?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Here's the funny thing is like, so for those that don't know, Raquel's got a master's, all right, in health business admin. I don't know what the hell it's called, girl.
Public health, girl.
Public health. Okay. Look, again, you keep doing these morning Saturday shows, lady. The English doesn't come out with the brain. But anyway, no, guys, Safe and Sound is a one-stop shop for all things vetted for the caregiving community. This is products. This is best practices. This is just advisement. The hosts are an amazing couple. It is Cindy and Christina Harden Weiss. They are speech therapists and physical therapists for over 30 years each. And they have a popular YouTube channel called Adaptive Equipment and Caregiving Corner, AEC Corner. And AEC Corner. Yeah, that's right. And they also have a pretty popular TikTok and Instagram profile. They've had combined between all those three platforms over 10 million views of their content. So we thought, what a great opportunity to partner up. I'm sorry, not we. Caregiving Worldwide thought it would be a great opportunity to partner up with them. So now this is going to be streaming online, so both CTV and OTT. So if you have Roku, anything with a Fire Stick, etc., it will be available coming this fall. There are sponsorship opportunities if you want to partake, if you want to get your product highlighted, and or if you are a business that just supports the caregiving industry and you want to help us out. By all means, check out Safe and Sound. Love Caregiving Worldwide Television Network. Tracy Lamb, who is part of our community, is the CEO and founder. So we're hustling on her behalf because she's amazing. And I think everyone should check it out. And of course, everyone knows as we enter the caregiving phase of our lives to support our parents and or our family members, you just want something you know, like, and trust. So the ladies with AEC do have a seal of approval that is respected across the caregiving industry. So it just takes that gives you that peace of mind to know that whatever you're using and leveraging for your family actually works and is safe for everybody. So shout out to Safe and Sound. That is my pitch from you guys. Check it out. Hit us up. And we'll get you in the right contacts.
Love it, love it. See, I'm in. It sounds like you do this for a living. Like I could swear you could do this for a living. Pitching for people. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, guys, I know you're here for the fantastic panelists, the experts in workplace wellness. Don't we all need to learn a little bit of that? So please welcome to the stage the phenomenal Pandit Dasa and Felipe Cofiño. Hello, gentlemen. How are you doing today?
Fantastic.
Doing
Thank you
great.
guys for having us on
Welcome,
your show.
welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. It's an honor to be in front of individuals who have led, the efforts on literally wellness in the workplace and just mental health in general. So please start with introducing yourself so the audience can know a little bit about you if they don't already know you, and let us know, exactly what you do. So Pandi, we start with you.
So thank you again. So my name is Pandit Dasa. I had spent actually 15 years living as a monk in New York City. that now I'm no longer a monk. I left the monastic life 10 years ago. Uh, for the last 10 years, I've been speaking in corporations within the US, but also globally on the concepts of workplace culture, mindfulness in leadership, mindfulness in the workplace. And also, I generally like, because I lived as a monk, I have a certain amount of training in mindfulness practices. So I also teach corporate America and corporations how to use those practices, the breathing techniques, the focusing techniques to remain calm and focused during work, when you're having meetings with your colleagues, or if you're having meetings with your clients, just how to implement mindfulness to have a more calm and focused environment. And so the mind isn't going all over the place, like having, a million apps open in your mind. You got to learn how to close those apps in order to be focused on the ones that you really need to be focused on.
Amazing. Yeah, and I know that's one of the principles you do teach in your book. So I'm so excited to dive into that as we move forward in the program. Well, we're so happy to have you. Go ahead, Felipe. Let us know a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Felipe Cofiño. I'm a HR executive at Signal Financial Federal Credit Union right outside of Washington, D.C. And I've been in human resources for over 25 years. I used to work at Hyatt Hotels, where they really had amazing culture and taught me a lot. And it really taught me a lot what to do. And then I went to a different financial institution after Hyatt, and it was probably the most toxic. Or it wasn't probably. It was the most toxic
Mm,
environment I had ever experienced for 2.5 years. And I learned what not to do. And so I took all that, and then I after that I actually had a car accident. That I won't share the details of the car accident, but I ended up having anxiety after that, and I suffered with anxiety. I didn't know what was happening to me at first. It was just something that was affecting me at work and at home, but I didn't even know it at the time. And once I got through that, realized that, and learned how to manage it, I just realized the power of how important the wellness in the workplace is, and I took it to another level. Because before, I was doing going through the motions. People who worked out still worked out. People who ate healthy still ate healthy, but there wasn't a drive to go further. And after that personal experience, it just made me realize this needs to be a must in the workplace, not a nice to have. And so
mhm.
that's where I am today. And I do a lot on LinkedIn to promote that. I do a lot in the workplace. Everything I do on LinkedIn is mirrored to what I do in the workplace. A lot of times, topics I bring to LinkedIn come from what I train in the workplace, and sometimes vice versa. I'll take topics from LinkedIn and share it in the workplace as well.
Yeah, and this is just extremely important just because many individuals, even though we may be experiencing something toxic or negative in the workplace, we are so afraid to speak out. Like, and it happens. Why are we afraid? There are so many different factors. It could come from cultural, right? I know that for a fact. It's was one of mine and the individuals that I've spoken to as we move along. But a fear, right? Fear of getting reprimanded, or there's some sort of, backlash that can happen from that fear of losing their job, fear of having issues at home. So, what are some of the, I won't say excuses, some of the factors that the people you've talked to have named as why they don't seek out, any help or any resource to deal with what a toxicity in the workplace? And either of you can take that.
Well, I mean, I'll just continue if you don't mind, because I mean, first of all, the work that you, Raquel and Cio, are doing is amazing because it's getting it out there. And the first thing we need to do is we need to normalize this conversation. We need to normalize it like we talk about going to the gym and working out or working out at home. It should be that normal and not have that negative stigma to it. Because a lot of the excuses people give is, again, I'm afraid about looking weak. I'm afraid about people thinking I can't do my job, or maybe they're just pride, their culture. I'm Hispanic. My father was Latino. He was not your extreme stereotypical Latino that was just, the machismo. No, we don't talk about mental health and all this, but he didn't talk about it. So he didn't dismiss it, but he didn't talk about it actively in the house. And those are the things that I think are so important, is to normalize it at work, but also in the home with our kids. Because the one thing I learned was my experience with anxiety. If I had not shared that with my kids and help them understand what I was going through, when my daughter went through it, she would have had a much harder time. But now she's stronger and she's a social worker and using that skill to apply it to help other people. So doing it at home and doing it at work, is at work, when you do it with that one person, especially as a leader, it trickles down. And then they'll do it with their employees. And then it will become organically a part of the culture, and you won't be forcing it anymore. People will see that, oh, wow, the leaders got up and they shared their vulnerabilities. They shared what their anxiety, depression, whatever they're going through, and they're still successful. And that was a huge thing for people to see, is that you can be successful regardless of what you're dealing with. And so just putting it out there, being vulnerable as a leader helps people eliminate the fear. They come and ask questions, and they're more inclined to help others.
I think Bandy wanted to say something. I was going to say, but go ahead.
No, I was just going to sort of add to all of that, which is really, I mean, it's wonderful because, you know, in our entire life, right, there's a whole stigma surrounding mental health. Our entire life, from the time we're kids, everyone's talked about physical health, right? You go to the gym, you work out, you go running, you go swimming, you go all of this. But what about, right, taking the mind to the gym? What about taking the mind jogging? What about exercising the mind? Right. So, the saying is out of sight, out of mind. And the mind is out of sight. We can't see it, so we ignore it. So I think we're probably all familiar with the most accomplished Olympic athlete, Michael Phelps, right? 28 medals. And he very openly talked about his mental health struggles. He even had to check himself in to a hospital for like 6 months to kind of recover and to be able to function. So that's showing that you can function at the highest level and still struggle with mental health, and there's nothing to be ashamed of, right? And I think that's really important that people like him are helping break that mental health stigma, showing that you can be successful and still struggle with that. And something interesting that he said is that his whole career he always had like 10 trainers around him. Everybody was focused on his physical health, right? His stamina, his muscles, his food intake, his sleep. No one was really focusing on his mind. See, can you imagine? That's where our society is at. We totally ignore that, and like Felipe was saying, it's powerful when a powerful, successful individual expresses vulnerability. When a CEO says, "Hey, I'm taking a mental health day," can you imagine the kind of message that sends to the hundreds or thousands of people that are in that organization? Like the CEO is saying that. I mean, and that's sort of what I encourage CEOs or high level executives when I speak. I'm like, it's okay to acknowledge and tell your people, guys, I'm going to be taking a mental health day, and if any of you ever need to do that, please, I want you to know we're supporting you and we're encouraging you. Don't be embarrassed for taking a mental health day. You don't have to be afraid about you losing your job. We encourage and we support it, right? So I think mental health has just been so ignored. And for me, I feel like if we only take care of our physical health and ignore our mental health, for me, that's like taking the car to the car wash, but not to the mechanic, right?
Wow.
It's not going to get you where you want to go. It'll look shiny on the outside for social media, but internally it's falling apart, and it'll stop abruptly when you least expect it to on your journey. So I think they're at least equally important, but I think mental health is even more important. And I think corporations and organizations are starting to recognize that they need to take on and bear some responsibility for the mental health of their employees, because the
Mhm.
employees give more than half of their waking time to that space. So those leaders have to bear responsibility to create the right culture so that their employees have the resources and the tools to maintain their mental health.
Well, I must say you dropped like 5 golden nuggets in that speech that you just gave, Pandit. And if you are not taking notes, audience, please do, because this is important. Taking your mind to the gym, like right there, that to me stopped me in my tracks, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so true. We highlight so much and we focus so much on the physical aspect of it that we really don't pay attention to our mental wellness. We think we're okay. We continue going, with our routines and the pressures and the stressors of life. I mean, myself, I'm over here like, oh my gosh, the kids, the jobs, the projects, family. There are so many different things that could trigger us to go on a downward spiral. And so make sure that you do take time to apply some mental wellness tips, some exercises, and I know we're going to talk about these as we move forward, but it is important. And you're right when you say that the leadership in these entities are responsible for having something in place like that, because it is important for employees to be able to thrive or have that freedom to say, I am not okay. Normalize that, not being okay.
Raquel, can I share something real quick?
Yes.
So when Penny was talking, one of the things that he shared about Michael Phelps that was really powerful, and it brought me back to about 6 years ago when I actually took the bite and actually shared my story about my car accident and my anxiety in front of the full staff of the entire company. But before I did that, what I shared was similar to what was just shared right now about Michael Phelps. Was I did I put up a slide with Michael Phelps, Kristen Bell, famous people that have spoken out about their anxiety and are successful and are doing well and are still strong, you know. But then I showed one of Robin Williams, Kate Spade, a lot of these people that people didn't know they were suffering. They were suffering silently, and it resulted in them taking their own life. I'm not saying that's always the case, but I think that sends a powerful message of like, we need to normalize this conversation in the schools, at work, at home. It needs to, because the alternative sometimes is detrimental to their life. Um, and I think at the end of the day, when you have that, and like, you know, and it was when leaders get out there and they actually share their vulnerabilities, it's such a powerful message. And your actions truly are something that are important, because if you have a wellness program and your CEO and execs are not participating in it, why is anyone else going to think that wellness is a priority in the company? It's got to be through your actions. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I if I can add a little bit here, and I apologize, guys. I am like trying so hard, and just a full disclosure, I cannot change resolution while live streaming, everyone. So you're just gonna get the pixelated me, which is probably a good thing anyway. But let me tell you, as a former corporate sales, tech salesperson for 20 odd years, there was no cushion for saying, "Oh, you're not feeling well." Because let me tell you, my management told me every 90 days, you've got basically, even though we're salaried, your performance is based on that quarterly result, right? What are you bringing in revenue for that company? And especially for publicly traded companies, there's a huge pressure to deliver in order for shareholders to stay happy. You know what I'm saying? So it's unfortunate, right? Now I'm out of that corporate space. Now that there's more acceptance that, no, you can't be performing at 100% at full throttle all day, every day. And it's slow. And folks like you, Felipe, that have been really seeing the praises of guys, you got to be healthy, right? And Pandit as well for you. Like they love us, salespeople working out in the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning, but that mental gym, it's incredible to me that it's 2023 and we're still, quote, early days. Can I ask you guys this question? Do you think it is a responsibility of a corporate employer to invest money to help and enable their employee and their staff for help if it's needed?
1,000%. Because at the end of the day, a lot of times the result of why they're in that situation is probably because of the work environment situation. So I think it's definitely important. And the ripple effects, I'll tell you, when we did that stand up of some of us leaders speaking up and being vulnerable, people came up to us and shared some of their personal stories privately, and they came to us, and it was eye opening. It was good. But the powerful moment, the ripple effect, is when it was really needed, was during the pandemic. 2 years after we did
Yes.
that,
Yes.
people reaching out to us. I got calls from multiple employees saying, okay, I think I have anxiety or something. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm having these feelings. I don't understand. How do I get over it? And it was reminding them, did I ever say I got over my anxiety? No, you learn how to manage it. You're going to be okay. You're not alone. And they just need to know that it was somewhat normal to feel that way if you're suffering with anxiety, that they're not, losing their mind. But people don't know that when you get hit with that feeling of anxiety, depression, whatever you're suffering with, that first moment, you have no clue what is happening. As an employer, if you're going to say you care about your employees, your greatest investment in your company, the most expensive investment in your company is your payroll and your employees. If you're not going to invest in that, then you're not doing good business.
Mm, mm.
Wow. Pandit.
Yeah, I mean, like, since a majority of our waking time is in the workplace, right? We're awake, what, like, let's say 16 hours a day, for example, right? We're doing work related stuff at least 8 to 10 of those hours. So if we're spending that much of our physical, mental, and emotional energy dealing with work related stuff, how can the employers not bear some responsibility? Because the person's not just bringing their physical body, they're bringing your mind, you're bringing your intelligence. And all of the mind and intelligence is being used to figure out work related problems. So if it's work related stuff that's causing me stress and anxiety and depression, or giving me a nervous breakdown, how can we say that the organization doesn't have some responsibility towards them, right? I mean, a majority of our stress comes from the workplace.
Mhm.
Literally, a
Mhm.
majority of it comes from the workplace. Work, you know, too much work, too many meetings, workplace conflicts, it's a toxic work culture, cliques in the workplace, all kinds of stuff. So 100%, it is the leadership responsibility to create tools and facilities and resources, and not just like a pizza party on Friday. I mean, that's nice, but I think they need real tools and professionals who can, spend time with people, help them, or have other kinds of resources like apps, meditation apps, or where people can get some therapy, just some kind of facility available. I think it's just the right thing to do. And I think companies are recognizing it too. A lot of companies, a lot of the bigger companies, like for example, during the pandemic, I was doing a lot of virtual sessions globally for the Kellogg Corporation. And I was doing like 2 sessions a month for their global audiences, right? Something on wellness every month, some topic on wellness every single month virtually. And they were recognizing it. And a lot of organizations are recognizing this is an absolute necessity. We can't, a paycheck is good, but it's not good enough.
Yeah.
My goodness. Ugh.
It's not good enough. It's helpful for us to meet our needs, but our needs are more than just financial. We have emotional needs, we have relationship needs. And so in addition to making the tools available, I think it's important for the companies to really work on creating a culture that breeds and fosters positive social connections in the workplace. If
Mhm.
we're spending this much time at work, it's crucial that we're having positive social connections there, and that there's an environment where we don't feel like we have to look over our shoulder constantly. We should feel like my colleagues have my back, therefore I don't need to look over my shoulder. That's the kind of
Mhm.
environment that we need to be cultivating and creating and encouraging, and it all starts from the top and it trickles down.
Oh my
Oh,
goodness. I
Now,
am just like, go ahead, Felipe.
no, can I say make one realistic
Yeah.
comment here about this? Because I want to be realistic about the challenges that we deal with. And so the bottom line is that we have so many people that are trying to implement a wellness program in there. And the reality
Yes.
is that you need to incentivize them, because there's that fear factor that people have about just like our wellness program. You got to go to the doctor, your annual doctor's visit, your dentist, your eye doctor, and then everything else you can pick and choose what you do. But our incentive is if you meet that 550 points, which is very easy to do. The hardest thing is people going to the doctor saying, I'm scared to find out what's wrong. It's your annual physical. You're not going there because anything's wrong. You're just going for a checkup. But helping them get over that fear is such a huge thing. And the incentive that we do is we offer them a 25% discount on their monthly insurance for the entire year if the previous year they made the points. I'm sharing that because, like I said earlier, I've done wellness programs where the people that worked out still worked out. The people that ate healthy still ate healthy. The ones that didn't, they weren't motivated. They weren't incentivized. So the reality is you have to come up with a way to really, truly incentivize it. Talking the talk, leading by example, those are definitely going to help, but you got to find a real motivational part. And I think for us, it was money. Money is a big motivator for people, and sometimes that money helps them override the fear.
can I just add a little bit more to that? Because we all make great money in certain career paths. Like, people will be comfortable, right? I don't want to say complacent, but comfortable with, hey, I'm getting paid well enough to put up with this stressor, this thing. And actually, I pulled up Robert Barry's comment there, Raquel, that I wanted to point out. So if you don't mind, I'm going to pull that back up again because I want to quote it up a little bit, which is, it's we don't know how to talk about it. And I feel like there's going to be some repercussion of some perceived failure, weakness, unreliability, and somehow it's going to be used against them from an employment perspective. Like, so if I were to say, "Oh my gosh, Felipe, I'm coming to you. I can't pull these numbers in because I'm having some very big emotional issues right now." As a salesperson, I would fear that I go to you as HR, that you're going to say, you missed your number, Sia. We're going to put you on a performance improvement plan, and that will be used against me. So could you address something like that? Because I feel like we're still afraid to even mention it with folks like you in HR. I hate to
No,
say
I
it.
totally get it. And 20 years ago, or 25, you've been totally right. And it would probably have been used against you performance wise. And it wasn't, and not always intentionally, but it probably would have been. Today, what I say is this: you have a few things. HIPAA laws came into place to protect you legally. And any credible HR person, the moment they hear something medical is going on with you, they're going to realize legally they need to support you. And as a human being, they should support you. Let's just say that. But the reality is today is that if you go in there and you talk to some in HR, specifically HR, they are bound by law not to share your information. And it's always healthy to remind the HR person. I just want to make sure that they're HIPAA that you're not going to share this, right?
Yeah.
You say that to them, their red flags go off like crap. I can't say anything. Okay. Now I keep my mouth shut. But the reality is that if you go to your doctor, we have an employee that recently, during a huge busy time period that really we could have not, we should have not done without him. He was dealing with a mental issue and stress, and he needed to take time off. He went to his doctor. Doctor recommended he take some time off. We supported it, but it wasn't supported because of the doctor's note. It was supported because we could see that he was suffering. We were emotionally intelligent enough to recognize it. And nowadays, emotional intelligence, I'm sorry, there's more and more companies doing it. It is a requirement of a leadership job. It's not nice to have. So if you cannot display emotional intelligence in your day-to-day activity, you're going to have issues. And that's becoming more popular. Is it? Am I going to say that every HR person is going to act that way? No, I'd be fool to think that way. There are just as many bad HR people as there are bad attorneys, CEOs, coworkers. But when you talk to somebody and you can build that trust, and you'll find out if that HR person is credible. It might not be all the HR team, it might only be one or two of them. But once you find that person that's credible, latch onto that person because they will help support you legally and hopefully emotionally too. So I don't know the best answer to give you. It's better than it was 20 years ago. Sia, you should go. I would recommend people to go today if they had that issue. I would.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, and I'm so happy that you bring that up because, like I said, individuals are suffering in the shadows because they're afraid, and if they don't have a reliable support around them, a community that is going to rally and help them, right? When they feel like they cannot be helped at work, then what do you do? What do you default on? And at this point is when you said emotional intelligence really has to step in. Pandit, can you speak a little bit more about, for example, how can we develop a even more solid emotional intelligence? How can we make some steps in order to be a little bit more sound in regarding the stressors that we face on in our lives?
So, one of the things, I'm not an HR person, but I go into the companies and speak on and try to inspire individuals and leaders to really try to cultivate empathy, right? In their workplace, in the way they deal with people. There's a really nice Native American proverb that says, "Walk a mile in a man's moccasins before you criticize," right? And empathy is so hard because how do you really put yourself in someone else's shoes? Like, I can't put myself into your shoes. I have no way of knowing what all you've been through. Even siblings can have a hard time putting themselves in other people's shoes, what to speak of two random people. But my point is, we should still try. We still have to try. And now more than ever since COVID started, the mental health, it's become like basically a pandemic in itself. Right? I mean, there's so many cases of mental health struggles and depression, anxiety. Maybe they were always there, and because of the pandemic, it started to surface. But I'm like, well, can you imagine how much more loyalty you would breed with your employees if you see someone struggling with their numbers and you went up to them, "Hey, I noticed that you're struggling. Can you let me know if there's something going on that I can assist you with? Is there some challenges going on in your personal life that I can perhaps help you accommodate your work schedule so that you can meet those challenges?" I mean, just imagine if somebody came to you that way as opposed to like a threat of being put on a performance review or something like that. I'm like, the way we would, because you lose a good person, not only does it cost so much money to rehire someone, it affects the morale of the entire team. Everyone's afraid, like, am I going to get axed next? Right? So I think that the whole idea of developing empathy, really trying first to understand what struggle someone is going through and why it may be affecting their performance, opposed to first coming up with a judgment and taking a hard approach to just like, hey, you've got to do this. We're not robots. We're not programmed to just keep functioning the same way every single day. We have our ups and downs. The EKG reading for the heart, right? It's like it does this. That means it's up and it's down, and it's up and it's down, and it's up and it's down. This means you're dead.
Yeah.
Dead. This means you're not human anymore. It's over, game over. So that is how we are. And if we can learn to develop that emotional intelligence, I think that will help create a more solid workplace culture. And, my background as a monk, right? I practice a lot of mindfulness, and in a secular way, I bring that into the corporations. Like just yesterday, I was speaking at a healthcare organization in Jacksonville, Florida, and at the end of the conference, like 250 people said, "Hey, everybody, we're going to close our eyes and do some mindfulness." Right? Because according to the Harvard Business Review, mindfulness can help us develop more emotional intelligence, right? So what it does is, first of all, it helps you get in touch with yourself to understand, where am I at? How am I doing mentally and emotionally? And when you start to recognize that, you realize, oh, other people may also be in a similar space. So when we become sort of more in touch with ourselves and even more compassionate with ourselves, and when we start to not feel guilty for taking care of ourselves, right? I think it does start with ourselves. Then we start to develop that same compassion for others. So it starts at home and then it spills out onto others. And I think as we start taking care of ourselves, we start becoming more sensitive to others, and we start practicing mindfulness. And it doesn't have to be a big, long 20, 30-minute practice. You don't have to go sit on top of a mountain to do it or sit in a yoga studio to do it. The way I teach it, I'm like, hey, if you have to run between meetings and you have a couple minutes, why don't you just take a moment and take 10 deep breaths and take a moment of gratitude? Just do that before you get to your next meeting, whether it's with a colleague or whether it's with your client, or at the end of the workday before you engage with your family members. Take a moment for yourself. Take 10 or 15 deep breaths, feel grateful for a few things happening in your life, and now engage, right? It's these. So instead of doing 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, I actually encourage people, like, why don't you do a minute of mindfulness breathing every hour? So instead of
Mhm.
10-minute block, 1 minute every hour or every other hour, 1 or 2 minutes. And that can help us develop greater emotional intelligence, because what happens is we run through the day, we run through our life without getting in touch with our own needs. So if we're not in touch with our own needs, how in the world can we be in touch with anyone else's needs? That's not
Mm,
possible. It's got to start right here. And so
oh
this is
my
what I'm
God.
really, the whole concept of mindful leadership, sort of one of the speeches that I give when I go into organizations, like, first of all, get in touch with yourselves, so that for you it's going to be better, and then you'll also be able to get in touch with other people in your organization, right?
Absolutely.
That's
Wow.
Can I just say one thing about it? Because what you're saying is so powerful, Penny. And one of the things that when we are introducing emotion to business, a lot of leaders think, oh, this business is not personal, it's not emotional. Don't bring emotions into the business. But the reality is, every business out there that has any service or products, they incorporate emotion of the consumer into the business. I mean, think about the spot on last minute purchases they have at the cash register, or think about if they think about emotions during the holidays. Valentine's Day, Hallmark holiday, created to sell and buy things. They use the emotion to make money. So if you're willing to do it with your customers, why aren't you willing to do it with your employees? And then the other thing is that here's the power. Once you start creating the culture, you're doing something right when it just starts spouting out and going out on its own. When employees start doing their own thing. We've had walking groups come up on their own. We had our call center. They get up every hour and with their wireless headsets and walk around while they're talking to our customers. They incorporated wellness activities into the day to day, to the point now is, if I wanted to stop it, I don't think I could. It's had a life of its own, and it grows to the point where we kind of recreated a little gym in the basement because there was just like storage down there. And someone's like, "Can we have a meditation center?" I'm like, "Will you all use it? Like, if y'all let us, 10 minutes a day. Those 10 minutes a day are the same 10 minutes a day we gave smokers." And I was a smoker. That 10
Mhm.
minutes you go outside and have that cigarette, why are we going to complain if they take 10 minutes to go downstairs and meditate with an app, or just rest, their eyes for 10 minutes? We need to get off our mindsets that that's a wrong thing, when it's a good, healthy thing. And the reality is, if you want to think about it, good business, happier, healthier employees are more
Mhm.
productive, and they'll stay longer and they'll work harder. So,
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, okay, gentlemen, I am like, I'm telling them we're gonna have to have a part two, because this is just so amazing. That this conversation is so needed anywhere, in any industry, in any type of work that we do. Just because it's important. It's important to be there for one another. But I know there are many questions flying, but let's go ahead and focus on this one. It says, "This is LinkedIn user. Go ahead and fix your settings, boo, so we know who you are." This is awesome. What are some apps that are available that provide more information or resources for mental health wellness? Individuals, who need help. Pandit, would you mind sharing some?
well. See, there are a lot of them. I don't personally use like mindfulness apps because I do my own mindfulness practice. I think that so I think if you just kind of Google them, so I'm not going to mention any specific ones because unless I've actually personally used them, I don't feel comfortable mentioning them, right? So, but I think there are so many out there, and a lot of them have like a 14-day free or 7-day free trial. I think that that is one way to, definitely go ahead and check those apps out, and then you can see. And so, yeah, I think you guys are just putting up a code for my like my own book here, Mindfulness for the Wandering Mind. It literally is a great resource for the talks that I give in corporations and organizations on wellness and well-being and mindful leadership. It's a great follow-up tool, but towards the end of the book, there's a ton of mindfulness and meditation techniques that you can use at work and outside of work as well.
And
For
and
me,
I'm glad. Go ahead, Felipe. I'm sorry.
no, for me, I've used two for mindfulness specifically. I've used Calm and Headspace. I'm a little partial to Headspace. I feel like Andy, the voice on there, is my friend. I've gotten used to him. It does have the 30-day free trial, and I'll be honest with you, those first 10 days they give you during the free trial, I will go back and just repeat those 10 days sometimes. That might be all I need, and you learn techniques that you can start using yourself. So those are two that I know that I've used that have worked well. Again, nothing against Calm; they're both good. Headspace is the one I started with, and I kind of just stuck with that one.
And this is so good. Another thing that came to my mind, and I'm going to give a shout out to Stephanie Delfonso, right? Is starting early with having kids practice in their schools, mothers and fathers practicing with their kids at home, how to start developing these routines, these wellness checks, right? I call them wellness checks, even though they're not physical, like, going to the doctor, but just because these moments do cement in their brains, yeah, as we're conditioning that, hey, we do need to take time to really be one with oneself. And so going back to school, do you think that's really important to start doing that in schools and being more mindful of that, especially with teachers, with the staff? What would you say to that?
I mean, I think absolutely. The younger you start, the easier it is for the mind to learn these things, right? As just like a child can learn a language much faster than an adult can. The mind is and the brain is so much like a sponge at that age, and I think that the way we can introduce this to kids is not make it forced, but make it into a game. So when I encourage people to do it with their kids, like just play a game with them. Say for like, how about for the next 10 breaths, we close our eyes and try not to think of anything. Just think of your breath and don't think of anything. And then make it like fun, a game. That's it. It's just a minute long. Not forced. If they don't want to do it, don't do it, because you know what happens then. They push it away and don't want to look at it till, for another couple decades. So make it a game, and then have them also get in touch with their emotions. Like, okay, something disturbing happened. Okay, remember that. And how did that make you feel and why? Right. So now they're already developing emotional intelligence just by getting in touch with themselves. So I think the sooner we can start, the better. And you know what? If a mother who is pregnant and is meditating, I'm sure that the child inside is also meditating. So it could start real early, actually, believe it or not.
I
That's my
That actually is
love
a great
that.
point about the mother, because you don't think about the mother. Like, if the mother can cause stress to the baby, if she's stressed, why couldn't she provide calm and mindfulness? I think it's great. But I agree with you. I think in the schools, making it fun, it's got to be fun, but it's got, like you said, not forced. I think if you have it's there's things where I think people resonate a lot better when they think that somebody else understands them. So if you have someone sharing something, asking, "Hey, does anyone else have that experience too?" Or say, "Oh my God, that's happened to me too. I felt that way before. You're not alone." That making them feel like they're not alone is such an important thing at that young age. If I had been talked to about anxiety and been even just educated on it a little bit, when I got it as an adult, I wouldn't have spent 4 months suffering silently, wondering what if I was dying, basically, until my wife said, "I don't think you're okay. I think you need to talk to somebody." And that's all she said. It wasn't like she forced me. It was just someone verbally saying to me, "I think you need to talk to somebody. You're not okay." And it just kind of light bulb went off. I'm like, "Oh my God, I think you're right. I've been in this daze for like 4 months and I don't know what's happening." If someone had talked to me, I mean, imagine 4 months of stress and anxiety, just thinking that you're dying, taking that away from somebody, a child especially, who a child is not likely to come talk to you about these serious topics. Children are more afraid of speaking about topics they don't understand. So making it easy to understand, fun, and just education, so that when they do experience something like that, like, hey, Bobby, am I having anxiety? And that's what my daughter said. And I'm like, why?
Mhm,
What's going on? And that was her way of asking the question comfortably for something that she was scared about. And so
mhm.
the more we do it, the better, or sooner do we do it, the better.
And I'm so glad you brought that up, the example, right, with your daughter, because I also went through that and I didn't know. And because we didn't talk about this growing up with my family, right? The whole anxiety, depression, PTSD, whatever you want to name it, none of the mental health stuff was ever covered with my family. So I was expected to sweep everything under the rug. But whenever I started opening my eyes and saying, oh my gosh, like I am not okay. I had postpartum depression. I had suffered depression. I had anxiety. And I realized, okay, I do need help. And so when you mentioned, yes, the children cannot feel like they're alone in this, right? But being alone, we can feel that throughout all of our life stages. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good when you feel like there's no exit, like there's no way to actually get better. So with my daughter, one of the things that really alerted me was that she kept every morning when she was suffering bullying at school, she would complain that her stomach was hurting, but that was just her anxiety. It didn't click until like a few weeks after, and I was just like, she might be telling me that she's suffering anxiety. She just doesn't know how to say it. And so I had this talk with her, and I said, "Okay, let's talk about it. Are you nervous? Or what are you feeling?" And that's when I really, really had to cement and say, "Okay, school, you need to do something about it because it's affecting the quality of life my daughter is having, and therefore it's going to affect me because I'm going to be upset because you're not doing anything." So it's really important that you mentioned that. So shout out to Stephanie Delfonso for doing that because she focuses a lot on kids as well. She actually in her website, when we buy a book, she donates a book to the school. So it's just an amazing thing. My goodness, guys, I'm just like I'm trying to fly through these comments and it is impossible. But I know that we're gonna have to do a part two. No joke. I am just like, this is so important for us to continue covering just because so many of us are going through that at smaller scales, medium scales, and at big scales. At home, in the workplace, out in the open, we all go through this, and it's essential for us to feel that we are not alone and to ask for help. It is okay to normalize that we're not okay. It is okay not to be okay. Would you say that?
Yeah, Naomi Osaka, the tennis player, right? She was ranked number one for a while, and she didn't want to do these press interviews, and the media gave her all kinds of crap for it. And she said that she said she had to acknowledge that she was going through mental health struggle, and she said it's okay to not be okay, right? So
Mhm.
it's absolutely okay to not be okay. I mean, the body and the mind, they're both vehicles. We have to remember they are both vehicles. Every vehicle needs maintenance. Your car needs maintenance, your fridge needs maintenance, your microwave needs maintenance, your body needs maintenance, and so does your mind. We just have to see these things as vehicles. Anything that goes without maintenance is going to crash. It's not going to take you to where you need to go. And so we just need to take that stigma out of, like, oh my gosh, she's having depression, or she's having depression, mental health. No, it's just a machine. It needs maintenance. If you take care of it, it'll take care of you. And one thing that I like to say is that if you don't make time for your wellness, you're going to have to make time for your illness.
Oh, wow.
That's
My
powerful.
gosh, that is very powerful. And Michelle Marie has a really quick question there. How do you clear the mind? What is your advice on how to do this, Pandit?
Well, there are many ways to keep it really quick and simple. One way is really just close your eyes, feel the weight of your body sitting on whatever you're sitting on, and take 5 or 10 deep breaths. When I say deep breaths, like, make sure your lungs are completely filled. Like, we don't do that. I feel like we breathe just enough to get by. But if you think about it, when you take a really deep breath, you're taking in 5 or 10 times more oxygen. If you take 5 or 10 such deep breaths and intentionally breathe out the stress and anxiety in your mind and your heart as you're breathing out, that in itself will help a lot. Other things you can do is, like, in the middle of the day, work day, go for a walk and leave this behind. Don't take it with you. 10 minutes, what's going to happen if the world's not going to end? And if it did, you won't need it anyways, right?
Mhm,
So take a
mhm.
walk in the middle of the day without this, because we're looking at screens all day long, and then we take a break, and what do? this is our break. And then we go back to our work screen, and this is our break. No, break means give your eyes a chance to relax. That also clears the mind. Looking at the trees, looking at the sky, looking at the clouds, looking at the birds. Go out for 10 minutes and do that, right? So there's many ways to clear the mind. One is through the deep breathing, go for a walk, maybe have a nice friendly conversation with a colleague, something like that. A variety of different things can be done. Or even taking a 5 or 10-minute naps during the workday. I know it sounds strange, but if you do, all kinds of research,
Interesting.
Power
super
nap.
powerful. Power naps recharge your brain like in an incredible way, give you so much more energy.
Oh, well,
Can
yes, yeah, go ahead.
I was like, can we just say naps are okay? Like, can we
Yes.
just normalize naps? Because, as us in kindergarten, right? Like, as Mike likes to say, practice your kindergarten skills. Man alive, you do feel recharged. So real quick, so Felipe, is that considered acceptable to take that power nap, or is it still,
So it's funny. I'll
iffy?
say pandemic changed our mindset on that because people working, there were some people working longer hours from home when they were working from home during the pandemic. And we had an all staff and people were doing a check-in. Like, all right, let's talk about how's everyone doing? Talk to me about your mental health, your physical health, what's going on that you want to talk about. And people were sharing not being able to sleep, this and that. One thing someone said, like, I just feel like sometimes I just so busy and I feel guilty if I take a 5 minute break. I'm like, who told you couldn't take a 5 minute break? Well, no one. So where are you feeling the pressure from? Myself. I was like, okay, I'm going on record. Y'all want to take a 10-minute break every couple hours to go watch TV for 10 minutes, take a nap, go for a walk, go do it. I don't care what you do for those 10 minutes. Take that. No one's saying you can't do that. When you're here at work, you go outside for a walk, you go out for lunch, you go out for a smoke break. No one's stopping you at home. So don't stop yourself. But you know how many people had to say, thank you. I think I needed someone to tell me that in order to allow myself to do it. And that's where we realize people put the pressure on themselves sometimes, or they assume that the employer is putting pressure on them. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's just one of those things where if you're getting your work done, do what is best for you. Be there when you need to be there, but manage your own schedule. If you need that nap, take that nap. It's like
Well,
going to the bathroom. We tell an employee, no, you can't go to the bathroom for 8 hours. Your body needs something. Your body needs to take a 5 minute rest. Let your body rest.
I'm sorry, but if my employer were to tell me I cannot go to the restroom when my body needs it, that ain't the place for me, fam. Like, no joke. That's what I would say. But oh my gosh, so this discussion has been enriching, enlightening, and inspirational all at the same time. Everybody who's facing tribulations, trials at work, it's the call for today is to look for help. Talk, open your mouth, reach out. There are many resources out there, but at the end of the day, you really have to focus on you. If nobody else prioritizes your health, then if you don't do it, nobody else is going to do it. So might as well do it. So I would like to see what you would say in as a parting closure words, as a golden nugget. What would you leave our audience with, and then how can people find you?
Which one are we going
It-
first?
well, Felipe, you're up there.
All right, all right. I'll go. So I wasn't sure. I guess my parting words would be lead by example, make priority. And I say lead by example at home, with your friends, at work. Doesn't matter what your title is. You can be a leader. So make that your priority, so that people can learn from you, and that you can help be that change that we all need to be a part of normalizing this conversation, because every person's impact is going to make a difference, and that trickle effect is going to branch out, and eventually we'll be able to talk about it as simple as eating cereal. So hopefully everyone takes that seriously, and just be inspired to make mental health as simple as working out. You have muscles that grow or get weak. Your brain muscles are going to get weak, and they're not going to be able to handle situations as well if you don't focus on mental fitness.
And how can people connect with you, Felipe?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn on a regular basis, and that's probably the best way to get a hold of me. I do have a small YouTube channel, but LinkedIn is probably the best way to get a hold of me.
And I may chime in. I met Felipe through LinkedIn, and he has been a source of inspiration for me. Let me share how. He was one of 3 listeners on my first ever audio room on LinkedIn. And you know what? He stayed to the very end. We had a fantastic conversation. And that to me spoke to his heart, to the type of person he is, and that I know that he goes above and beyond for everyone who's around him. So, Felipe, thank you. I know I've never taken the time to tell you in person like this, but thank you so much for believing in me and for the mission that we have to unite communities, to be there for one another, because at the end of the day, we do need that. And your stellar career speaks for itself. So thank you so much, Felipe. Everyone connect with
Gracias,
Felipe.
amiga.
He's amazing.
No, yeah.
Well,
Forget to
you and
scan the
Sia are
QR
amazing.
code.
You all are just like the dynamic duo and just amazing. So more power to you two, because you all just are helping so many people out there in so many different ways. And I can't say enough good things about you all. So thank you.
Oh,
We love
thank you.
you. We love you.
Scan the QR code, everyone. Scan the QR code.
I jokingly said he's my tío from another, family, because I love you like that. You're so nurturing
That's a huge comment. Gracias, mi sobrina. Gracias.
and if y'all don't know what
Theo,
tío means,
Theo.
uncle.
I know he's not that much older than you, girl. Watch it. Like, can't you say hermano? Like,
It's a
dude.
respect.
It's
It's
okay.
respect.
Latino, you say Tio, it's respect. Yeah, it's totally
It's
respect.
very it's an term of respect. I'm telling you. So he understands. He gets
Okay.
me.
It's
uh,
better than saying abuelo. If you said abuelo, I would have been offended. Okay.
Okay. I can roll with that. I can roll with that.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna say, I'm like, damn, I'm like, Felipe is not that much older than me, Rocky.
There are
Just
very
saying.
young tíos out there. Okay, it's okay. But anyhow, thank you so much, Felipe.
Thank you.
All right,
Thank
Pandi.
you.
So, again, I'm going to repeat something I said earlier, that self-care is not selfish, right? And that if we are only focusing on our physical health and not our mental health, it's like taking our car to the car wash and not to the mechanic. And I really want us to kind of remember that. And, one thing that I have been recommending in some of my speeches, I'm like, hey, one way to focus on wellness in the workplace is that perhaps you can create a small WhatsApp group with your colleagues, those that are interested, and it's strictly wellness. And whenever you do an item of wellness, maybe you took a 10-minute walk, just put it in there. If you did 5 minutes of meditation, just put it in there, right? If you gave a compliment to one of your colleagues, just some item of wellness that you did, put it in there, because let's say you're part of 10 or 15 people and you see 5 or 10 comments going up that, well, this person ate a healthy meal, this person took a nap, this person did some meditation, this person went for a walk without their phone. Like, okay, I got to do something because I want to put something in here too, right? This person did some exercise, did some yoga in the middle of the workday. Like, why not do that as some way as to just encourage? I'm like, and don't let it, no conversations about politics, no putting your pictures of your cats and dogs on there or anything. Is just what you're doing in terms of wellness. Keep the group simple. So that's one practical suggestion that I've been giving during my talks, hoping that will help people have a practical takeaway. Like you have 5 or 10 people at work that you connect with, just create that group. And anytime you do something related to wellness for yourself, self-care, put it in there. And I think that'll just encourage people to do it as well.
I like that. I like feeling and seeing that, because at the end of the day, you want to kind of auto congratulate yourself, like, okay, I'm doing it right, even if it's a minor thing that you're paying it forward to others as well as yourself. And in its sense, it's like win-win situation. It's gratification at the same time. But one of the things that I wanted to highlight is I know that you talk so much about it in the wonderful tips you have. I have both of your books, and I'm telling you, there are so many different things here, so many different tools, and just mindfulness, y'all. So I urge y'all to connect with Pandit. He's amazing. Everything that he puts out in the world, besides being a world-renowned speaker, he's just a kind human being and has a wealth of knowledge to share. So I urge y'all connect with him on LinkedIn. He's amazing. He's amazing on other platforms as well, but when you get to know him, you understand the true value and the gift that this man has. So thank you so much for being here today and for taking the time, because I know you have a newborn, you have a baby, and you have to, go out there and do help your wife and just be an amazing human being. So, Sia, any parting words from you, madam?
You know what? These types of conversations, I think absolutely needed to happen. It needs to be at the forefront and accepted that it's okay. It doesn't have to be an agenda that we're pushing. It's just simply acknowledging that, hey, life isn't easy. we're all going on this little, blue marble that we're on together. Why don't we make it as pleasant as possible? So my parting words are, thank you guys so much for your expertise, your positivity, because talking about mental health doesn't always have to be depression related. It is just simply life happens. So thank you for making it a positive, uplifting conversation, because we can do it all together. You can do it by yourself, but you can also do it better together. So thank you guys. Thank you.
It is better together. I always say that as well. You can do it alone. You can fight the fight yourself, but together you can definitely find the power to beat so many obstacles in life. From my on my end, and my parting words to you, as always, is I encourage everyone, connect with one another in the chats, connect one another after the show. There are so many individuals out there yearning for connections, real, true, authentic connections, and always keep in mind, be positive, lead with kindness, and just lead with your heart. There's nothing wrong. You cannot do anything wrong with leading with kindness. And this is one of the things that I try to inject each and every single day. I don't see barriers. I don't see culture. The universal language of love it could be heard from here all the way to Mars. But you're one connection away from changing someone's life and from changing your life. So connect away, my friends. Without further ado, thank you so much for those who came here on Saturday. Thank you to my guests. They've been amazing, stellar folks. We will see you next Saturday with another fantastic guest. So thank you guys. Make the best out of your day and lead with love.
Thank you so much for having us on your show.
Thanks for joining us, and I hope our chat inspired you to make a new connection. Please like and subscribe, and let's build a great community in our little corner where we get serious business done by injecting fun. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, come back to Raquel's Connection Corner.